The New England Patriots advanced to the Super Bowl after a 10-7 game that turned into a complete blizzard in the second half. But obviously, Josh, the biggest play of the game was when Denver was up 7-0 early on in the game, and Sean Payton decided to go for it on that fourth down.
Okay. So, first of all, let me address something. Because I've heard people saying, oh, the AFC Championship should have been played in a dome. No. I loved that game. Yes, it turned into a blizzard, but you know what? Both teams had to deal with it. It's not like New England had an advantage over Denver. Like, both teams had to play in it. It was beautiful to watch. Both teams had to make adjustments, and New England was just able to make more adjustments, and they came out with the win. I don't think anything should change. Like, the AFC Championship should not be a neutral site or anything like that. Let's stop with all that nonsense. But anyway,
Okay. Go ahead.
But to address the Sean Payton call, I agree with the decision to go for it, but the play call was pathetic. Like, why would you have a backup quarterback? Why are you trying like a weird pass like that? Either you've shown that you can run the ball effectively. Why not just run the ball with RJ Harvey? Or maybe a quick slant pass, for example. But the play call I just thought was wrong. The decision overall, though, was correct.
Okay. So I agree with one of your points. I disagree with another point. I'm going to start with the point that I agree with you on first, which is I actually agree with you. The play call to go forward was the right decision. I also agree with you that the actual play call itself was a terrible play call. The one point you made about running the football with RJ Harvey, I'll do you one better. How tall is Jared Stidham? 6'3", something like that. He's a pretty tall quarterback. Why don't you just get behind him and do what 31 out of 32 teams usually do in that situation and push the ball? Because if you don't get a yard in that situation, in my opinion, you don't deserve to win the game. And I look at it, I know it was 7-0 in that spot. I know they could have went up 2 possessions and made it 10-0. However, in that situation, when you are that close to the red zone, I believe that kicking a field goal is almost a win for the defense. And I don't think Sean Payton knew that it was going to turn into an absolute blizzard. To your other point, excuse me, yes, both teams did have to make adjustments in that second half, but I thought it was very ugly football. I mean, neither team could really move the ball. Once the Patriots got the lead in the game, it did feel like, to me at least, the game was over from that point on because Denver really could not move the ball.
No, I agree with that. And maybe the game would have been different if they still had their starting quarterback, Bo Nix.
Well,
But
that's the thing. I wonder if they ran that play call with Bo Nix on fourth down, do they get the first down?
I would say they probably do.
I just don't understand why you're going east to west laterally on fourth down.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, though, is like Sean Payton has always been aggressive like that. Think back to Super Bowl 44. He came out in the second half and did the onside kick, which, of course, nobody was expecting. So it's in Sean Payton's DNA to do this. But I do disagree with him going for it, a couple times early in that game prior to that when you had the opportunity to kick field goals. I feel like that's been one of the things that's hurt teams throughout the season and the postseason is teams just want to be so aggressive that they forget the kickers are a factor.
Well, can I tell you why? It's because of the new kickoff. Because if you kick the ball to the end zone and you get down at the 35-yard line, now the other team only needs 2 first downs and they're in field goal range.
Right. But it's still like, if you're
So if I kick a 20-yard field goal, what good is that going to do me? Where if I miss it on 4th down, I still have to make them drive the field.
Yeah, but if you're only down 3, why not take the points?
Okay. If you're down 3, they were up 7-0.
See, it's 2 different examples. But we did get some news in regards to the Broncos, which caught me a little off guard. They fired their offensive coordinator.
Who doesn't call plays? I don't really know what Joe Lombardi does. I mean, he was pretty good. He was okay when he was with the Chargers.
Yeah, but I would imagine it's Sean Payton calling plays like you're saying. So I don't know what the point of an offensive coordinator is if the head coach is the one calling the plays.
Well, I'll tell you, here's the point, and no one knows this. They are the ones that are running the meetings during practice during the week. They're the ones in the film room, the QB room. That's when the head coach does not do, even if he is the play call.
Okay. But so Joe Lombardi was the one that put the plan in place, basically.
He helped with the plan, yes.
So in some regard, I got to hold him accountable for the 4th down play then.
Well, but Sean's the one that calls it, and obviously that's Sean's mind. Nice to meet you, Rings. My name's Brandon, by the way. Says he works with you sometimes during Monsters games. So
yes.
Nice to meet you as well, Badger 19.98. But yeah, I mean, this news was a little strange because it kind of came out of nowhere because it's like you almost got to the Super Bowl. It's kind of like the Niners when they fired Steve Wilkes a couple years ago, where it's like everybody knew he was going to get fired, but they ended up making the Super Bowl anyway.
Yeah. But somebody was wrong about Sam Darnold.
I was wrong. Sam Darnold, not only did he prove himself to be a franchise quarterback this year, however, I am still going to stamp my foot on this. I do think that a lot of Seattle's success this year was due to Quinn Kubiak. And I think if he gets a head coaching job, then the Seahawks and Sam Darnold are going to regress. But this was a team that made some key free agent signings, made a key trade at the deadline, as you've been talking about for weeks with Raheem Shaheed. A really good roster all the way around, and they outplayed the Rams in the second half.
So, remember I posed the question to you last week. Is Rams Seahawks Part 3 the real Super Bowl? And you said it depended on who won the AFC Championship.
Yep.
Knowing that it's New England, has your opinion on that changed?
Everybody thinks the Seahawks are going to blow the Patriots out, and I don't. I think it's going to be a very close game, and I think New England has a real shot to win the game because I think Seattle's offensive line is not very good, and I think you saw the pressure that when the Rams were able to get pressure on Sam Darnold, he did struggle a little bit. I thought the game completely changed, by the way, when they had the muff punt, and then Darnold throws the touchdown to Bobo the very next play. Momentum completely changed on that. Now, it could have changed back again when Tariq Woolen, unfortunately, got the worst taunting penalty I've ever seen in my life. There's no way that should have been called. Let me put that out there right now. And then Stafford throws the touchdown to Puka Nacua the next play. And I don't know why nobody has brought this up. The score at that point is Seahawks 31, the Rams 26. Everybody wants to talk about how why did Sean McVay go for it on that 4th and 4? What I want to talk about and what I ultimately believe decided this game is why did Sean McVay, when it was 31-26, they just got that touchdown after that horrific taunting penalty. They could have went for 2 to make it a 3-point game, and they kicked the extra point. I don't understand that one at all.
Okay, so wait a minute. You're praising Sean Payton for the 4th down call.
Yes.
but you're holding it against Sean McVay.
I'm holding it against Sean McVay that he didn't go for 2 when they scored the touchdown.
No, I know, but it circles back to the aggressiveness conversation.
No, it doesn't, because it's a 5-point game. No, it's a 5-point game. Guess what? If you get the 2-point conversion and it's a 3-point game, then you can kick a field goal to tie the game, Josh.
That circles back to the aggressiveness.
No, it doesn't. The difference between 4 and 3 is massive. The difference between 5 and 4 is nothing. How do you not understand the math behind this?
No, okay. I get the no.
Okay, go ahead.
I get the math. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying it circles back to the aggressiveness conversation that we just
had.
But
it's the same conversation. It's not the different. It's not a different conversation. It's the same conversation.
No, I didn't say it was a different conversation. I never said that. All I said was it circles back to that conversation.
But I'm praising Sean Payton because the score is different compared to what McVay is. The situation's different. It calls for different things.
And I'm saying that you're holding that in favor of Sean Payton, but you're holding it against Sean McVay, rightfully so. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Oh, okay. No. I thought you were saying I was wrong. That's where I'm confused.
No. I think you are correct to hold it against Sean McVay, but praise Sean Payton. That's why I was saying.
Okay, see, I don't think it's different. I think of it as the difference between 5 and 3 versus 5 and 4. That's my only argument.
I'm not saying it was different, though. I was just saying it circles back to that conversation overall. But to get back to Sam Darnold,
he has really played the best game of his life, and I will not deny it. He played great, but I think Clint Kubiak has a lot to do with the success of that team. That's all I'm going to say.
Mike McDonald and Clint Kubiak have been fantastic together.
Which, if Arizona or the Raiders, because God knows we know the Browns aren't going to, but if Arizona and the Raiders don't hire Clint Kubiak, then the Seahawks might go back to the Super Bowl next year.
We will see. But, everybody's going to talk about what the Jets must be feeling like and what the Panthers must be feeling like. You've used this line a few times throughout the show. I forget exactly how you say it, but success, there we go. Success is not linear.
Yes.
So just because Sam Darnold is playing like this with the Seahawks and just like how he played pretty well with the Vikings last year, doesn't mean he would have played like that with the Jets. It doesn't mean he would have played like that with the Panthers. I'll give San Francisco some credit. Yes, he was the backup quarterback there, but he still got to work with one of the greatest offensive minds in the league, Kyle Shanahan, and I bet you that really improved his confidence. And then he goes to Minnesota, works with another great offensive mind in Kevin O'Connell. Yes, he laid an egg in the season finale against the Detroit Lions. And yes, he played poorly against the LA Rams in the wild card. But throughout the season with Minnesota, you saw how well he could play. Remember, after that Green Bay game, they were literally showering him, which I personally didn't love because it's like, you haven't done anything yet. You still have to go to Detroit and beat the Lions. But nonetheless, so this
100% this comment.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So, but it's not surprising that, when you've got Jackson Smith and Jigba, when you've got Jake Bobo, you've got Kenneth Walker, you've got Zach Charbonnet. Granted, he's injured and out, but still, he was a big part of what the Seahawks were doing. You go out and you trade for Rashid Shaheed. You go out and sign Cooper Kupp, and he made some important plays in that game, especially on that third down when he stretches the ball out.
Okay, so I want to talk about that play. because there's some controversy in the internet about whether or not it was a catch. It was 100% a catch. But I'm going to be honest about this. I don't think he made the line to game. I think he was about a half a yard short when his hip hit the ground. And McVay called timeout, I think, expecting an expedited review. He has the red challenge flag in his hand. The referee, I think, is clearly telling him he cannot challenge because he gets upset. He puts the flag back in his pocket. And it is never addressed on the broadcast. To me, I thought he was short of that. Now, by the way, if I'm Seattle, if he is short, I'm sneaking in on fourth down. But I thought that was a major miss on the broadcast. They just ruled that a first down, and it went on. And I did not think he made the line to game.
Yeah, that whole sequence was weird. And I didn't fully understand it. So I'm not going to sit here and try and defend it and say, yes, it was a first down, but I'm also not going to sit here and say it was not a first down. I
thought it was close. I mean, listen, I hate again that each of these games are coming down to the officiating call.
Yes, but do you get my overall point, though?
Well, and again, I thought the taunting call on Tariq Woolen was just garbage. There's no way that should have been called taunting, and that would have ended the game right there. Seattle absolutely deserved to win this game. I was wrong, and they outplayed the Rams in the second half.
But here's my big issue is, in general, I think quarterbacks get way too much credit. You know, I understand why they get paid millions, and you want the best quarterback. I get it. But if you don't have good to great weapons around the quarterback, it doesn't matter. Do you think Sam Darnold would have been as great as he was?
Buffalo's your prime example that you're kind of wrong on that.
Josh Allen's like the one. Josh Allen didn't become.
Well, Josh Allen's a great quarterback. You just said the quarterback gets way too much credit. Okay, Josh Allen's great.
Hold on. Josh Allen did not become the way we know Josh Allen to be until he got Stephon Diggs.
Yes, but now that he's matured, now he doesn't need as many weapons. It's kind of like what Brady did in New England the last 5-6 years he was there.
Okay, but you look at somebody like Sam Darnold, for example. We didn't start heaping all this praise on him until he got to Minnesota and he had Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison.
Yes,
TJ
but he also had Kevin O'Connell. I think the coaching part of it is more underrated than the players. I think you need better coaching. Because Josh Allen was not this Josh Allen until Joe Brady came back out because Ken Dorsey didn't work as an offensive coordinator.
Two things can be true, though. I'm not saying you're wrong, but at the same time, you can't say that, like, do you think Jaden Daniels would have been as good as he was rookie year if you didn't have Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson, Zach Ertz? I don't.
Well, he didn't have that many weapons. I mean, that's not a stacked weapon. Brian Robinson's a third-string running back?
Okay, fair. What about, your quarterback, Jalen Hurts?
Okay.
Who does he have around him? Devontae. He's got A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert.
And he struggled with Brian Johnson as his offensive coordinator, had Kellen Moore, made it to the Super Bowl, and then, by the way, did not play that great down the stretch with Kevin Patul as his offensive coordinator.
Again, two things. I'm not trying to discredit the coaching. You make it sound like I
think the coaching matters more than the weapons, is what I'm saying. I think Kevin O'Connell, I think Quint Kubiak is more important to Sam Darnold than JSN. I really do believe that.
Okay, Baker Mayfield is still great despite an off year. Yes, Tampa.
Okay, this conversation has nothing to do with Baker Mayfield, though. By the way, Tampa had some more weapons. Remember how great Emeka Buka was to start the year? What was their biggest loss? Mike Evans got hurt, but why did they fall apart? They don't have Liam Cohen anymore.
I'm not saying coaching isn't important. You make it sound like I'm saying
no, but I think I put more value on the coaching than I do the weapons.
Okay, and You know what? Jacksonville is a prime example because you're right. Trevor Lawrence didn't become who he is until Liam Cohen got there. Yes.
And by the way, coaching gets the best out of your weapons. JSN became a monster this year because of Quinn Kubiak.
Again, they're not wrong. I think two things can be true. And Seattle is a great example of that. Chicago is a great example of that.
Yes.
Jacksonville is a great example of that. Seattle. So I think we're both correct. I just put more emphasis on the players. That's all I'm saying.